So just standing out here and looking at the view and just taking it all in, it's incredible. And everything I've ever read about Ireland, it feels like this has been exactly what I've read about it. The greenery, the rolling hills, the cliffs and things like that. It is just inspiring to see. I'm Gary, and this is Coasting with Culture, which is all about combining theme park visits and riding roller coasters with various cultural experiences around the world. And here's how we're doing so this time.
After taking a scenic train ride to Vancouver, a pair of flights with WestJet to Dublin, and heading to the village of Fore to see the Seven Wonders tied to St. Fahine, it's time to experience more that Ireland has to offer. As we'll go for a stroll through one of its cities, then hit the road to join some fellow buzz bars in a town that features a folk village, and finally enjoy some awe-inspiring views along the coast. As friends and fellow buzz bars were landing in Dublin, Carl, Ricky, Sudo, and I had some time before we'd need to get on the road to head south. So we take the opportunity to explore the city of Galway, Ireland's fifth most populous city, that began as a fortification in 1124, then became a chartered city in 1484. The first location we'd wander around is Eyre Square, an open space during medieval times which had been kept as a public space for multiple centuries. Among its features are 14 flags representing the tribes of Galway that effectively controlled the city's politics and commerce between the 13th and 19th centuries. And across from them is the Brown Doorway, a remaining exterior wall of a 17th century mansion of a Galway merchant, featuring an armorial stone with a coat of arms for Brown and Lynch, two of those 14 merchant families. There's also a tribute to Irish writer Patrick O'Connor, who was born in the city and went on to write numerous plays and short stories in its native Irish language, which garnered much acclaim. Something I'd learned much later when I returned home is that this park is officially named John F. Kennedy Memorial Park, dedicated to the former President of the United States who gave a speech in the square during his visit to Ireland in 1963. It was the first time a sitting president of the United States visited Ireland, and what made it more significant was Kennedy's heritage that links him to the Emerald Isle, as it was the home of his ancestors. As we happened to be visiting on a Saturday, we had the chance to see a bit of the Galway market located near St. Nicholas Church, which runs year-round on the weekends, offering both visitors and locals alike a variety of goods and foods to enjoy. And just a short walk away is one of the more popular areas of the city, the Latin Quarter, considered by many to be the cultural heart of Galway, with its variety of family-run shops, pubs, restaurants, and hotels. Some may see it as a bit of a touristy location, especially as some shops have the kind of humorous and adorable souvenirs that such locations typically have, but there's also some awesome architecture to enjoy as you stroll down its streets, including some rather historic buildings like the King's Head restaurant, which resides in a building that dates back to medieval times over 800 years ago, and was the home of former Galway Mayor Thomas Lynch until it was seized by Colonel Peter Stubers, who is believed to be the one responsible for the beheading of King Charles I in 1649, hence the unique name for the establishment inside.
One thing I do wish was that we were here a little bit longer to really get a chance to enjoy the Latin Quarter, because it looks like a very lively place. However, there's still a lot to appreciate even in this time of the day.
And that included the opportunity to enjoy a few tunes from this trio of street musicians right at the edge of the Latin Quarter. Although many of those restaurants we passed wouldn't open until after we've left town, there were several food stands and trailers which gave a variety of options for a quick bite, as we enjoyed some sausages from a local Galway food van. These stands happen to be right alongside one of the most scenic features of Galway, the River Corrib, which flows into Galway Bay. The river has certainly shaped the city, as they built the Eglinton Canal alongside the river to improve flow to their mills, and the Eglinton Sea Lock, which is no longer in use, allowed boats to enter the canal from the bay. Alongside the river is the Spanish Arch, which marks one end of the Latin Quarter, and from there continues the Long Walk, a road that features some very colorful houses which have been featured on many postcards. There certainly are a number of boats located here, some of which could head right out to the ocean, and some that might not quite be ready for sailing, such as this old vessel that has seen better days, but certainly adds a neat touch to the banks of the river. As our time to head out was drawing near, we went down a walkway that follows along the banks of the river Corrib, which gives you the chance to see another one of the canals that flows alongside of it, as well as some of the awesome older architecture of the city. Another highlight of strolling down this path is seeing O'Brien Bridge, which sits on the site of the first ever bridge to be built across this river. And along it is one of the landmarks we had seen upon our arrival into town, the Galway Cathedral.
Galway just provides so many things to see and explore, and it really is kind of a bummer that we only had this morning to get a chance to explore. But I love the fact that we had an opportunity to walk around through the Latin Quarter, also get an opportunity to walk alongside the river and see the opening into Galway Bay. We're gonna head a little bit further down alongside the bay because we're gonna check and see if things are gonna get a little wacky.
So the previous day we had plans to hit Bundoran Adventure Park a few hours north after our visit to Fore for a pair of coasters they have. But as you may recall from the previous vlog, we all sort of hit that brick wall of tired and decided to skip ahead to Galway. But curiosity struck me to look into some other possibilities, as I had seen a place listed on Roller Coaster Database in Galway called Curry's Fun Park, located in the Salt Hill area of town, and it was showing that they previously had coasters there. The pictures of the place seemed to indicate that this was more of one of those long-term fun fairs, and thus I thought that there was a possibility that a coaster might be there, even if it's not listed on the database. So I asked the guys if they were up for a true coasting with culture experience, heading to a location where there may not actually be a coaster to ride, and they were all on board. So we rolled on over to the Salt Hill area, which is right off the coast of Galway Bay, leading out to the Atlantic Ocean. And as we got closer, we could see the location of Curry's thanks to their large Ferris wheel, and upon closer inspection, there was in fact a coaster.
The potential for redemption for a missed credit yesterday has come, and it's here in Galway. Let's see if we can get ourselves a +1.
And as luck would have it, we were able to get a little bit of redemption for missing out on our first planned coaster stop with a surprise coaster in Galway.
Now see, I promised these guys we were gonna get an Irish wacky worm, and it's time to make good on that promise. Whee! Whee! Here it comes! Here comes the big one! Whee! We did it! Credit!
+1.
+1! +1!
+1.
+1! Coaster credit achieved. The first of our Irish coasters, none other than an Irish wacky worm. Ah, I love it when a plan still comes together, even if it has to be a little bit of an alternative route.
When you find places like this, it can be fun to see what other rides there are. And Curry's of Galway offered what appeared to be one of those super cheesy dark rides that many carnivals have. But this one had a bit of an interesting claim, as the safety sign said it was a roller coaster. So we were curious to find out if there was something about it that might make us want to claim it as a credit.
Are you ready to see if this is, in fact, a roller coaster?
Sign said one.
We shall find out. Carl, does it count?
It's high class.
But does it count?
Yes.
I guess we'll find out for ourselves here momentarily. Trim brakes? This thing uses trim brakes? Okay, so we have a bit of a question to ask ourselves here because the sign up front claims that this is a roller coaster. One thing that I did notice was the use of a magnetic trim brake going downhill. So what do we think, guys? Are we going to agree?
It coasted for a split second before trim hit, so...
Technically for a millisecond did coast, but the ideological bent of a trim brake on a downhill means it's anti-coasting. But the advertising does say roller coaster.
Sadly not a credit, but quality special effects. Hats off to the mannequin giving you the finger, by the way.
That was pretty spectacular.
While it might have only been a +1 for the most extremely hardcore of coaster counters out there, Curry's Fun Park was, well, a fun little stop. And it made Ireland the 5th different country where my first coaster was a wacky worm style ride.
But there's still so much more to see, so let's get back on the road, shall we?
The time had come for us to head south so we could meet up with several friends who arrived in Dublin just a bit earlier. And that meeting location would be in the town of Bunratty, where we caught up with Joey, Craig, Ethan, Griffin, and Javi, and enjoyed a lunch stop at one of their local pubs, Dirty Nelly's, which opened back in 1620. It was a nice way to catch up with friends before we strolled over next door to visit Bunratty Castle and Folk Village, a historic park offering visitors an opportunity to see what life in Ireland was like many years in the past. Our first stop in the park would be the castle, built in the 1400s by the McNamara clan, and later came under the control of the O'Briens, and later the Earls of Thomond when the English seized control of the Emerald Isle. The castle was nearly lost due to its poor condition until a medieval-era enthusiast named Viscount Gort bought the castle and partnered with the local public works to restore it, allowing for visitors to catch a glimpse into the past. Many of those visitors might start with the basement, which provides information about the castle's construction, its previous owners, and the mention of it having a murder hole, an opening from the upper floors where they could pour hot liquids on enemy attackers. Accessing the upper floors, you'll first arrive in the main guard, which was the main living area of the common soldiers, but is now used for special medieval banquets hosted by the castle in the evenings from March through the summer. Access to other parts of the castle requires the use of its narrow spiral staircases, but this gives you the opportunity to see how soldiers lived while residing in the castle. And further up comes the Great Hall, where banquets would be hosted and the Earl in charge of the area would hold an audience and offer his judgments in various matters. Much of the furniture and decor featured here was of the Renaissance era and acquired by Gort and his team to help restore the feel of the hall as it would have been back at that time. Going further up into those stairwells offers a glimpse into the lives of those wealthy landowners, and taking advantage of the castle being one of the tallest structures in the area can offer some lovely elevated views.
Whether you're going up or down in this tower, be prepared for some crazy steps because it is definitely not the most convenient thing to get in or out of. Granted, they were going based off of 14th century design and architecture, but there are some tight, narrow stairs.
After our castle exploration, we'd wander further into the folk park, which gives a glimpse into the life of the commoners who resided here. And there are times where you have performers that will turn it into a sort of living museum. There's also several locations to see various kinds of animals, including those which have been raised as livestock for centuries. Before we departed, we wandered around a nice area that offers a variety of shops and food stands to discover, including J.J. Corey, an independent distiller that makes a variety of Irish whiskies, including the Banner Blend, which is said to be sweet with a bit of citrus and balanced with vanilla. And since they were offering samples, a few of us couldn't pass up on trying it out.
Sasha. I actually like that, yeah.
Bunratty provided a fun glimpse into the past, but one aspect of Ireland I'd long been hoping to enjoy would be about an hour away on the Atlantic coast. The drive over was certainly quite scenic, but it was only a small teaser to the incredible views we were about to enjoy, courtesy of the cliffs of Moher. Comprised of shale and flagstone, these 320 million year old cliffs can be as tall as 700 feet above the ocean below, and a lot of birds can be seen flying around them, as it's a sanctuary for the likes of razorbills, guillemots, and puffins. And while they look like tiny specks when compared to the massive rock wall, you can tell that there are tons of them flying around. The timing of our stop proved to be fantastic, as we got to enjoy a bit of that golden evening glow on the massive rocky wall, which made for some incredible photos for everyone who came along.
This is just absolutely stunning. Definitely among the top places I've had a chance to see in person, especially for natural landscapes. You know, you got the waves of the ocean rushing against the side there. You can see all these thousands and thousands of birds down below, and just the sheer height and scope of it, such a cool thing to see. And I'm really glad we included this as part of our trip out here to Ireland.
There's a few different pathways you can take for differing viewpoints, but one to certainly enjoy is O'Brien's Tower, which is the highest viewpoint in the area, offering even more of the breathtaking views that can't be missed. The tower can also be a great spot to enjoy some performances of local musicians as well.
Just standing out here and looking at the view and just taking it all in, it's incredible. And everything I've ever read about Ireland, it feels like this has been exactly what I've read about it. The greenery, the rolling hills, the cliffs and things like that. It is just inspiring to see. Definitely got to make your way to the Cliffs of Moher for a visit to Ireland.
If there was more time to enjoy here, I would have loved to have gone even further down the paths alongside the cliffs, but we had a few hours to drive to get to our home for the night, and so we hit the road, making a quick dinner stop for an Irish fast food experience known as Supermac's, a burger chain that Americans might say is ripping off another famous Burger Mac, although their burgers have a different taste to them. I wouldn't go so far as calling it great, but it was solid enough to be worth a stop if you find yourself wanting something quick when driving across the Emerald Isle. And as we were low on gas, we wound up at a motorway service area with a rather unexpected name, since it was the second location in Ireland we stopped by that day, which was named after a former US president. This location being named after Barack Obama because his third great-grandfather had resided here in Moneygall until he emigrated to the United States in 1850. What I didn't know at the time of our visit, since we just made a quick fuel stop, was that they have a bronze statue of both Barack and Michelle Obama out front, and a small museum upstairs in the main convenience shop that talks about him and other presidents of the United States, especially those with a more direct connection to Ireland. So it could make for a longer stop if you're looking for more than just fuel. For this trip though, we were all about ready for bed after a long day of exploring Ireland. As a country I've wanted to explore for a long time, this first full day spent wandering the streets of Galway, strolling alongside the River Corrib, being our first coaster ride on the Emerald Isle, taking a step back in time in Bunratty, and just being completely awestruck by the majesty of the Cliffs of Moher has only increased my desire to come back another time and see even more of what the Emerald Isle has to offer. For a first-time visit on the shorter side though, it has been an excellent mix of experiences.
I certainly am thrilled to have had this opportunity to explore these places, and I'm glad you came along for the adventure. But I hope you'll come back again as we take this adventure back into Dublin to get a chance to enjoy the city and try out one of their most popular beverages here on Coasting with Culture.
Thank you for watching this video from Coasting with Culture. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button to see future videos here on YouTube, like these ones which you may enjoy as well. Additional content can be found at coastingwithculture.com, and you can also follow Coasting with Culture on various social media channels at CoastWCulture for announcements, previews, and updates. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care and safe travels.